Resource International, PHRI, from the Society of Human Resource Management Institute, SHRM, and his certificate in organizational leadership from Harvard Business School. Abosede hopes to leave her mark and influence in the HR landscape, one business at a time. So please, without further ado, let's make welcome with a standing ovation. Ladies, please, with a standing ovation. Yes, please. You're welcome. We're happy to have you. All right, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Please sit down. This is super surreal for me. I've been to several events, and when they read their profiles, I'm like, what a wow, what one person. So this is the first time I've had my profile read out because I generally run away from these events. So, yes, we're here now. Okay. So to start, first, I want to say thank you to Pastor Poju and Pastor Tony for this opportunity. It may look like a small thing, but sometimes these events are all that we have to learn and grow. And then I would like to say thank you also to TC and Ikeja for dragging me out of my shell. Because if not for TC and Ikeja, I can assure you I would have declined this invitation. But they have managed to make it easier for me to come out and speak in public, which is also one of the reasons why I decided to come. As women, we hide. A lot of us have amazing gifts. But rather than stand here and encourage other women, we would hide saying, I'm not sure what I know, or maybe I don't know enough to speak. It's okay to come out and share the little you know. You never know whether the little you know is someone's a lot. So if you take nothing else out of this, please be as brave as me today and leave your mark, come out, speak, be that person that God has created you to be. And finally, thank you all for being here on a Saturday. Coming out of my house on a Saturday is a Herculean task. The question that they asked, what do you like to do? Besides sleeping, I just like to sit down and watch Christmas movies. I can watch the same Christmas movie over and over and over again. It just helps me relax. I don't know why. Okay, so going to my topic for today, growing your career path by remaining relevant in the workplace. Just a quick question. How many of us are career women? Show of hands. Okay, just so I have an idea of how many entrepreneurs we have, because my story is interwoven as an entrepreneur and as a career person. And the entrepreneurship part, which starts my story, is my mom was an entrepreneur. So I'd like to answer this question or start my speech by telling you basically about my life, because I feel that in each person's life, there are lessons you can learn, and it's not something I read in a textbook. It's what I have been through or what I've seen in my career. So I'll start with my story. I was raised by a single mom until I was about 13, and then she remarried. But in all of that time, she was an entrepreneur. She was an interior decorator, as we would call them at that time. So she would decorate homes, she would decorate events. And because she was a single mom, we all had to chip in. We were 4 children. Chipping in means when your mates are playing after school, you are in her shop. When she has events on a Saturday, you are at the event. You are clearing up, you are hanging balloons, you are hanging fabric. You are a jack of all trades. You know how to use a driller. You know all of these things. So I felt that being in that position, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur because I just felt like, at least if you are going to 9 to 5, by Friday is over, then you know you are done. But as an entrepreneur, Saturday, your job can be on Saturday. They might call you to come and decorate a church for a harvest, which means you're also there on Sunday. There was no end to working. So I told myself I would never be an entrepreneur. Let me just have a 9 to 5. I go to work, I come back, and then it's over. Fast forward a couple of years now, I think I'm looking to start a business because 9 to 5 is not all there is to be. Just to tell you that it can be either way. It can flow into any of the directions. So when I started off my career, since our topic is growing that career, I started off in biochemistry, as you have heard, which is why I like that there are 2 students here. And during my IT, I studied biochemistry, and I was in a lab. And basically what you have to do is you test products for microorganisms. At the time, it was in Coca-Cola. They bring sugar, you test it, you test the water, you test, and you just wait for microorganisms to grow or not grow. And for me, that was just super boring. For other people, they like it because, there's the scientific aspect, you are testing. But for me, I felt like I needed to interact more with people and just do a little bit more. So from that IT, I told myself, man, this degree, as soon as I'm done, I can't move forward with it. I'm going to do something else. So for those of you that are students, it's okay to change. I think the one thing you don't want to do is finish, or at the end of life, you're regretting the chances you never took. So if you're excited about what you're studying right now, by all means, please go ahead. But we've heard of so many people who have studied one thing and are doing the exact opposite. Feel free to explore. Let God lead you. Let God guide you. So don't be stuck in your career path for those of us that are still students. But after that experience, I got an MBA, and I couldn't find work for 18 months. But in that time, since I had worked with my mom at some point, I had a little stint as an entrepreneur. I sold food to offices. I did some interior decor for someone who said she would never go into entrepreneurship, but I kept busy. And also in that time, I started to do some of my professional exams by saving up with a couple of my friends. We did a job to pay for my first PHRI exam. It was super expensive at the time, and that was the only way I could make up the money. But I tried to get busy even in that time. And then fast forward again, I got my first job. And for an MBA student from Lagos Business School who went to Unilag, finished with a 2-1, my first salary was 30,000. And at first, people just say, can the 30,000 even take you to work? The office is on the island. I live in Surulere. How much do you spend? And sometimes we can be tempted to not give your best because, how much is 30,000 in the scheme of things? But I think I just haven't seen my mom putting her best foot forward for every client, regardless of whether the client was paying millions or a couple of thousands or even free in a lot of cases. She did the exact same thing or even better for those who had nothing to offer. I made up my mind that I was going to put in my best foot forward in that job that was paying me 30,000 naira. So I would be in, I would research, I would work. So even things that were not my job, I took it up because it was a startup. So I didn't just stay that I'm the HR person in this organization. I did everything else. When we were going for marketing, I go out with them. When we needed, sometimes if for any reason, maybe a cleaner didn't come, I just saw something dirty somewhere, I went ahead and did it. I didn't say because I was earning 30,000. I think that's my first lesson to you. Whatever you have in your hands, whatever it is, even if it's free, if it's an internship, do it as you're doing it unto God. Do it as your service. Thankfully, we're in church, so do it like God gave it to you personally. And in that regard, I really, really like the story of Joseph because he prospered everywhere. In his father's house, he was prosperous. When he was in Potiphar's house as a maid, he prospered. He prospered, but he worked hard. Even in Potiphar's house, they said his master was happy with him. And then he went to jail, and he still prospered. You know what it means to be successful in a jail? He prospered. So regardless of where you are in life, whatever it is you have gotten or not gotten, whatever stage you are, you can prosper with whatever it is that is in your hand and grow your career. So where you are cannot be a ceiling to where you plan to be at. Okay? Fast forward 3 months into that job. Of course, I got a salary increase because I was delivering on my job. And I got another job shortly after. And in that time, I think this is where I would talk about having advocates to speak for you in the workplace. So yes, I got another job, and I was growing in my career path. But one thing I did in my new job was I did not limit myself. In my new job, there were 3 different areas, so to speak, and I was, of course, in one area. But I made up my mind that in a very short time, I would learn across each of the areas. So I'm in human resources. You could have learning and development or talent management or performance. I did not stay in my lane. I decided that I would learn across board such that I would make myself relevant. So making yourself relevant is not just sitting down and praying. Faith without works is dead. That also means that when you make yourself relevant, of course you will have more work. So there are some times that my colleagues are going home, but because I have put up my hand for an extra project, I have to stay later, I have to do a little more work. So basically, there will always be times when you would need to put in the work and do a little more. Okay, I asked for 15 minutes, so I should be done in another 10 minutes. There's this saying that goes that the reward for good work is more work. So as you grow, as you start to do more, definitely you will get more work done. More people will give you more work because you are excelling in what you have in your hands. Volunteer for projects. When you volunteer for projects, it shows the other skills you have and you bring to the table. Nobody will not promote. How do I say this? You would always be promoted for your skill. So when you bring something to the office, to your workplace, you will grow because they cannot do without you, literally. So even when the business might be going through a downturn, you're not the first they will let go. So for example, you are in the air, you are flying. Even if there's bad weather, do you think it's the pilots they will throw out first? Of course not. So even when your business is going, the business you're a part of may be in a decline, you are not one of those that they think of because they look to you as the person who can bring back the business up because you are a solution provider and you give your best in what you're doing. So volunteer for projects. And then I think going by my experience, so I have broken this into two parts. I talk about my experience and then just random stuff I've seen in the workplace. You have to be a good team player in the workplace for you to grow. So at certain stages of your career, since we're talking about developing your career, it's no longer about what you know. It's about how you are able to relate with people at a certain stage. So when you start off, of course, you must know what you're doing. You must know the day-to-day of your tasks. But as you grow, it's more about your interpersonal skills. Do you show up for your team? Are you there for your team members? Are you the one spreading office gossip? Or are you the one saying, no, we're here to work, let's focus on our work? Are you there for your teammates? Do they see you as someone they can call on beyond the work? All of these things will play an important role in ensuring that you grow in your career. And then finally, dealing with difficult bosses. In the world of work, there will always be times where you're working with people that you do not quite understand. Personally, I deal with it by praying about it and doing research. I feel like, I tell myself that nobody is mad, that they come out of their house every day with the intention of making my life difficult. So if they are not insane, it means that they have a PIN code. That's how I like to put it. So I take my time to research, how can I make this person happy? Or how can I make my work more profitable to this person? Or what is it about this person that doesn't make us work together? Because there are some levels of your career that you cannot reach unless your boss speaks for you. Whilst you pray and God is in heaven, he would still use men here to ensure that those things happen. So you have to ensure that at every point in time, you have a good relationship with those you work with. So going into the second part quickly, there's this formula called PI, performance, image, and exposure. To advance in your career, all three must be there. Performance, image, and exposure. Performance is, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you performing on your job? Your image, sometimes in the world of work, image is everything, like they say. You have to be seen to be doing the right thing. You have to be seen in the right light. And then exposure, visibility. A lot of us women are doing a lot, carrying a lot in our workplaces, but nobody knows we're the ones doing the work. I'm not saying you should go into eye service and, be a clown in the office with bells and whistles, but visibility has to be there for you to grow. And even as an entrepreneur, there has to be visibility for yourself, for your products, for whatever service you're selling. You cannot underestimate visibility. Stay marketable and understand the changing dynamics of your field. Whatever it is you're doing in your career, you need to stay marketable. Age is never a barrier. I have bosses who are almost 60 and some of them are going back to school. They are learning new things. They are taking courses. Age is never a barrier, but you need to stay marketable. You cannot continue, this is the way we've always done it. It's one of the things that limits the career of a lot of people in the workplace, not just women. Understand what your employers require of you at each point in time. If you work in a school, definitely the requirements are different from if you work in a bank or if you work in an FMCG. You need to understand what your business requires from you. That way you will grow in your career. So it's, whilst we're all Christians here, you would not only deal with Christians in the marketplace. So at that point in time, you need to have prayed and fasted and done all the things you need to do as a Christian, but show up in the world of work. Showing up in the world of work means you are researching, you are relevant by knowing exactly what they need from you in your workplace. Stay sociable in your relevant networks. This is an advice I need to take myself. I'm not in that many HR organizations, but you cannot hide in your house and sell your products. So even if it's online, you need to be out there. You need to be sociable. For those of you in the office, I know that sometimes in the world of work, maybe they invite you to random places for drinks. You don't have to always go, but you need to, if you need to do it in the office, then do it in the office. You have to be sociable. You cannot only pray, come to church, and go back home in the world of work or in your business. You need to be in the relevant networks. A lot of times we hear Pastor talk about he went for this conference, he went for that conference. He's just not here in Lagos. He's staying in the relevant networks that he needs to be in. So you should do the same. Then I think one thing that I have done that I'm still in the midst of doing is take big bets. And I'll explain this in this way. Women like to be careful. There's this thing I see on LinkedIn often that when there's a job opening, if a man can do 30%, he will apply for the role and learn 70% on the job. For most women, if you can't do 100% and an extra, they won't even bother to apply. I don't know why. Sometimes you need to take the big bets. I'm not saying go there and be incompetent, but as soon as you get there, start to learn and rise to the challenge. Take the big bet. So I recently, well, not recently, 2 years is not so recent, but I left a multinational for a local company. That was a big bet. But the career growth I've gotten in 2 years in the local company is more than I could have gotten in 5 to 6 to 10 years in a multinational. Did I take it of my own volition? Of course not. I prayed. I was super scared. But sometimes you need to do it afraid. And don't be afraid to make a mistake. Because if you do not make mistakes, you would not learn and you will not grow. So even in the course of my career, there are some times I've done things out of a pure heart and pure intention. And there were mistakes. But the great thing is, the people who were above me, my bosses at the time, knew that it's all in the course of business and I'm trying to learn and grow and develop the business. So you can't stay in the boat. It's okay to step out of the boat and sink. Just know when to shout, Jesus, help me. But step out of that boat. A lot of women are too safe. You just want to, keep yourself. Recently, we had some promotions and salary increases. And someone said to me, Madam, please don't push my name forward. Just let me stay where I am. Because when you give me more responsibility, then I'm in the limelight and they can sack me. She has a point. Because in also not too recent past, we pushed someone forward. And unfortunately, he didn't quite make the cut. And he was fired. But the thing is, you would never know. Would you rather stay at the same level forever or try and perhaps even fail and do better next time? Most of us women would rather stay on one grade forever in the name of being safe without knowing that you could have done more or you could have done better. Have some faith and step out of the boat today. Stay away from offense, strife, office gossip, and walk in love. It may sound like something small, but sometimes your journey out of an organization starts as soon as you're offended, either by a boss, a colleague, something. And sometimes people will push you out of your place of destiny because you have gotten offended. As much as work is work. So if people offend you, the same way in life you would get offended, you will get offended in your workplace. But ensure that you are not the one who is then going around spreading gossip or spreading strife. You'll be amazed that in the workplace, some Christians are the ones who are super bitter. In fact, when you join, they are the ones telling you, in this office, people don't grow. In this office, this doesn't. It shouldn't be you. Walk with love, walk in love towards everyone in your organization. And I think finally, God first, God in the middle, God at the end. I have confessions that I have for my workplace. you can never overemphasize the place of God in your career. God will lead you. God will guide you. And there are some steps that you won't even know to take unless God leads you in that direction. So as much as you pray, my charge to you today is to work to develop that career, because there are so many things in between. There are so many factors that are different. I'm sure when we go into the panel session, different things will come up. There are many things that happen to different people in their different careers, and I hope that we can answer a lot of your questions. But once you have God and you're always willing to go back to God, say, okay, maybe I made a mistake, or maybe I don't quite understand this. Please show me. Please help me. You would understand it. And my last story is something that happened recently. When Pastor says, pray to God for wisdom so that your helpers will find you. We've all known everything that's been happening in the banking system. And I went to the bank once. They gave me tally number. I was number 115. And I got to the bank at 7:45 in the morning. Of course, I was distraught. I just went back to the office and I complained. And someone said to me, that bank has a premium branch. I've had that account for over 8 years. I didn't know there was a premium branch. The purpose of this story is there are some places you will never get to in your career unless God shows you your helpers. So the next day, I went to this premium branch, and lo and behold, I was the only person in the bank. The only person in this. You see the queues. I was the only person. And they're like, please sit down here, ma. Please fill the form here, ma. Please. And I was like, wow, this is what I could have missed out on because I did not ask or I did not know. So there's some places in your career that no knowledge, no wisdom can take you to unless God shows you the way. So to grow that career, have this prayer always, that God show me my helpers, people who will show me where I need to be, what I need to do, what I need to learn at this point in time that will move me forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that insightful session. How many of us learned? I learned quite a lot because I am a career person, so I was able to pick out a lot of nuggets. Who wants to share? Who wants to share their takeaway? I need a volunteer. I don't want to have to call someone now. Ladies, it's we. There's no outsider here, or it's us. So who wants to share? You've shared before. Let somebody else talk. Okay. Please, let's put our hands together for her. Let's encourage her.
My name is Elizabeth. Okay, my experience so far is I study statistics. So at a point in time, I was like, I need more. So someone was like, I should go and study, like, get some, this programming stuff, like Python. I should go and learn Python. So I was like, I'm scared. Python, like, it is big people that always learn Python and every other thing, like, so that I can study data analysis. I said, I can't. So over time, I was like, okay, let me just give it a try. Okay, the first one, I was like, wow, this thing is like simple. And before you know it, I was able to get a certificate from Udemy. And then from then, I studied MSQL. I was like, wow, so all these things are simple. So unless you take a bold step, you still remain in that stage you are.
A round of applause. That was very insightful. If we don't make that bold move, many of us might remain stuck where we are. So some of the progress that we desire, those prayer points, it also actually requires us to make those tough, decisions to move forward. I pray that God helps us going forward in Jesus' name. So quickly, we'll be inviting our next speaker. She's already in the house. She's none other than Olashubomi Okulegbe. Olashubomi Okulegbe is Nigeria's first modern female goldsmith. She is the creative director and founder of Elesho Jewelry, a fine jewelry brand which combines intuitive design and unparalleled craftsmanship in producing exclusive jewelry that complements clients' preferences. Her venture into the creative sphere started at about age 9 with knitting and sewing with needle and thread. She later tried her hands at shoemaking, hat making, and tailoring. In 2003, she added jewelry making to the list of her creative interests, but her love for jewelry making surpassed all other interests and gave birth to Elesho Jewelry by 2004. Olashubomi has undertaken several trainings in Nigeria, the UK, the United States, Russia, Dubai, and Turkey. She's an alumnus of the Revere Academy of Jewelry Arts, San Francisco, California, New Approach School, Nashville, Tennessee, International Jewelry School, Russia, and others. She has also taken on several personal classes with renowned masters in the jewelry field across the world. She believes that goldsmithing in the Nigerian jewelry industry is starting to catch up with the rest of the world, and we can get there faster with determination, training, and continuous practice. Olashubomi is happily married. Her husband is here with her, and she's blessed with 2 sons. Let's put our hands together she's already here.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I want to say thank you to Covenant Christian Center. Thank you to the women that organized this B conference, Covenant Capital. A big thank you to you. I want to say thank you to you guys for coming. It won't be interesting if nobody was here to listen to what I had to say. So thank you, everyone, for taking out time. You could have been at 101 Bay now, but thank you for coming here. I would like to say a very short history about my relationship with Covenant Capital. When Covenant Capital initially started, I think I was the first person that got the 200,000 naira loan in 2008 or something like that. And the first time I was going to get the loan, the first batch, I remember Pastor was like, I've been seeing you. There's no need to even have what they call guarantor. You are going to be the one, I'm going to guarantee for you. And then after a while, I was like, thank you. But then when he saw the things I was going to write down, I'm going to say this, but I know Pastor might like to skin me for this. It was like, don't worry about the money. And that was a big one. The next one, so I didn't have to pay back. The next batch, I was the first set again that joined the first batch to borrow another 200,000. Could you please take it back to the first slide? Thank you. Okay, I was the first person that also came back to collect another 200,000 loan, and I had some guarantors, and I had to have some guarantors, and the guarantors decided that, they knew me. They were asked to bring their bank statement and all that. They were like, no problem, we'll just give you the money. I know that you'll return it. So I didn't collect the second one from Covenant Capital again. Then the third time, I went back again. This time around, I needed more than 200,000, and they were giving only 200,000. There was somebody that I spoke to that was one of the facilitators then that said, I said I needed 500,000, and it was like, they are giving only 200. And I said, yes, but 200 will not do it for me. This was, I think, 2007, 2008, thereabout. And he looked at it and he said, okay, I will stand for you, but you have to follow up with me. His name is D.K. Demirian. And you have to follow up with me on everything you're doing about this money so that I'll know that you're doing well with it. And that was how I got 500,000 when they were still giving 200,000 from Covenant Capital. So it was a privilege, and when I say I'm honored to be here, and I really appreciate Covenant Capital inviting me, this is why I say so. My topic for today is entrepreneurship, growing and scaling the business via service excellence. And I was also asked to speak about why jewelry. How did you figure out what was in your hands before figuring out how to develop it? I'm happy about the people that I can see here. There are ladies here, and I'll probably be talking about my story to help me talk about the topics they've given to me. Let me first start a brief about myself. Next slide, please. I'm Olashubomi Oyemade. They've said a few things about me. I'm married with 2 amazing boys and a very supportive husband who is here with me now. He's always been there all through my journey, and that's one of the things that helped my business grow thus far. We started while we were dating, and every time he follow me to the market, I'll say, if you need my time, you have to follow me to where I'm going to. Me, I don't have time to be sitting down in one place, and so we always used to go to Lagos Island together. Fast forward to when I started trying to learn my skills. As a child, let me start as a child. I'd learned different things, I'd learned different things, and I told myself that, okay, jewelry business was where I wanted to go to because it was something I was interested in, and it was what was bringing so much money for me as at that time. So I let other ones slide. So I had to combine. So picking my jewelry business was combining what I was interested in because I love fashion and what was bringing money for me. I loved making clothes, but at that time, the money was more important. Anyways, so I started traveling, and it's a long story, but I'll try to make it short. I started with nothing, and that's one of the reasons why I always like to talk about my story. I went here, I went there, and people will wonder, did you get a big loan? Did you do that? And that's why I also explained how I got 200,000 here, 500,000 here, there, and all that, because I started small and thinking about where the business has gone so far. It has taken a lot of small monies here and there to grow, not because I had one big money somewhere or someone there to help to give me one big money. So I'd gone to Russia, gone to different countries just to learn something. I always had the mindset that anything that is done abroad and brought here can also be done here. I don't see any reason why somebody would say, oh, this jewelry was made abroad and then we can't do it here. Why? I just used to wonder. So I went to the goldsmith, went to learn. Can you take it to the next slide, please? I went to the goldsmith, went to learn here in Nigeria. That's how I started. Till I started reading books, going online, and looking for schools abroad to find out where to learn jewelry making. And that's how I started traveling. I didn't have any family living abroad or know anybody, but to God who made it, everything just started working out. Those are the 3 pages we have, and I can tell you every single piece on there was handcrafted here in Nigeria in 18-karat gold. Every single page on the 3 pages that we have, every single thing. We didn't import anything. We have 3 pages that make 3 different types of jewelry, and I'd always been focused. I'd always loved wedding rings. I'd always been focused on making wedding rings. Along the line, I was making other party jewelries and all that because the wedding ring was a bit tedious. But I started from something, moved on to other pages, and we continue growing from there. Now we make one of the best jewelry pieces that are competitive abroad. Even all the ones they bring down here are pieces that we really were competitive. Can you take it to the next slide, please? Okay. That's the workshop, part of the workshop. No, not that, the one before. I want to show my workshop. Thank you. And that's me working with fire around there. So it's not as easy as it seems. And it started, I wish I had the picture of how I really started with just one work table and how everything has grown into such big industry right now. But that's what it has taken so far to make all those pieces that you see on our pages. You can go to some of our pages and you see. I'd like to share 10 briefly. I don't have enough time. Briefly, 10 values that have helped me to get to where I've gotten to at this time. First, that's number 1, start right or start now. Before you start any business, once you've decided that this is what you want to start, please go through the details and ask for all necessary details that has to do with the business, the registration, the taxation, incorporation, every single thing. That's what I meant by start now. And I start right. When I say start now, it's because most people think that once they didn't start something properly, they cannot continue right. But the point is, once you know the right thing to do at whatever moment, when you wake up is your morning. Once you know that, okay, this is what I should have done when I started, the next best time is now. So start now, whatever needs to be done, so that you don't get too entangled into other things that you should have done later in future. Next slide, please. Dream big, target big. Even though nobody is doing it, as at this moment, I can say for sure that there's nobody actually making the kind of jewelry pieces we make at Elisha Jewelry in Nigeria here. It didn't disrupt me back in the days when I felt like I couldn't find the people that could make the kind of things that I wanted to make. I just really knew that it was made somewhere. So the people that make it abroad do not have 2 heads. So I decided that I was going to do it and I was going to keep at it. Next slide, please. Relationship is your building block. like I said, I didn't have any money anywhere, but I can speak to you that every single person that knew me and knew what I was doing were the people that helped me in my business. That I had friends that would borrow me money. Even I had a friend back in the days that would lend me a rent and say, oh, I'm paying back in September, you're traveling in July, I'll borrow you and then you return it. I had somebody else that used to pay back gently with interest every month, and that didn't stop me, but that was how I grew my business. Next slide, please. Appreciate people. There's no small help. And one of the things I used to tell people is, even people that give you information, you'll be surprised how one small information will have cost you a number of years of mistakes that you think that, okay, oh, what's the big deal? You just told me this. No, he didn't just tell you something. He saved you many time wasted, money and everything. And you need to learn to appreciate your customers, appreciate your family, appreciate the next thing from all the researches that you've done about what you need in your business, and try to get help in everything, other things that you need. You can't do everything by yourself. Appreciate your abilities and have healthy competition, which is my next slide. Yes, appreciate your abilities. There's some people that can learn a lot of things. I've done shoemaking, clothes, all of this. And then sometimes you look at another entrepreneur and you think that you are not doing well because the person is doing so much and you are not able to do this much. That is your personality. There's some people that are master of some, and some people that are master of so many, a lot of things. What's important is whatever you do or whatever you know, be a master of that particular thing that you know. Some people are a master of someone else is a master of one. It doesn't mean that you're not doing well. Your word is your bond. That's the next point. In terms of delivery date, quality, integrity, these things are the things that will help you create a brand. These are the things that will help. Once you say that, oh, I'm going to deliver at so time, make sure that that's the exact time you're going to deliver. Those things you think that, and then if you cannot deliver, carry on with the customer and let the customer know. If something is not what you had promised to be, carry on with the customer, even if you feel that you're going to lose money at it. The interesting thing is that what you gain afterward will be worth more than the money that you lose, in quotes. The next slide. Celebrate your little wins. And I've said that because there are some days you'll be broke. And then you remember. And one of the most important things that has helped me in my business is that I'm always happy as where I've gotten to. And you need that spirit. You need that happy spirit to be able to continue in your business. If you're sorrowful when you're broke and you forget about the little times that you've had your wins, you will not enjoy the business, and the business you would not grow while you're at it. And one of the things that happen while you are celebrating your wins, please don't beat up yourselves when things are not going on well with you. The next one is learn, and keep learning. Some people say, when would you stop traveling for training? Haven't you learned enough? Don't you do enough? There are some classes I've gone that I've repeated the classes. Maybe because by the time I came back, I didn't do so well. I could have beaten up myself and say, oh, I'm not learning this again. Like, sometimes you just keep learning even things that are not, like I learned photography for jewelry making, for instance. Sometimes I might not be the one that take the pictures, but I can understand what the photographer would be doing and what I can communicate with the photographer at different points in time. Because you really can't do everything, even though you learn everything, but you have an idea of what you want and you can communicate properly, and that will help you grow your business. And the last point I'd like to make it is know your worth and stay humble. But stay humble. While you're doing business, as you're growing, there are some people as customers that were there with you when you started. There's sometimes when some of my customers right now say, I know we can't afford you again, or something. And I'm like, no, man, that's not it. The truth is, those people, the way you relate with them, the way you communicate with them, they will be the one to spread your news to other people that will help, that will come and buy things from you afterwards. You do not necessarily have to make them feel like they are not worth it anymore. Your worth, you know your worth quite all right. And when people are like pricing you down and all that, what's important is you just stay humble and say, oh, I'm sorry. is not going to be at that price instead of being arrogant and proud about it. This is very important because a lot of business people fall short at this point. And I'd like to say this to conclude my speech today. What you stand for will reflect in your business, which will affect your service excellence. Whatever you put together as a person, however comes to you, whatever you say, whatever you believe in, comes. Thank you.
Wow. Such a short session, but with plenty of nuggets. So we know the drill by now. So who is willing to share? Share her take. Oh, let's put our hands together for her. I would like to know your name.
My name is Fikayo. So integrity when you're doing business. For me, when and they will know that it's all about the customer satisfaction, satisfying the customer. Because something happened to me recently. One of my senator fabrics too. So he got senator from me. So when I got it, it was another color. So I said, okay, let me show him. Because when I got it from, I told the person, I said, I'm going to show this way. And she now said, I should get more fabrics. I said, okay, fine. So when I saw him, I now showed him. And when he now saw it, he said, no, that he doesn't want this color. I said, okay. I was saying to myself, now what kind of wala is this? So I was just praying that, God, let this woman have this color. So when I called her, she said she had it. And she sent her dispatch. I was thinking I was going to the person.
A round of applause for her. As business people, integrity is very key. We must do as we have promised to our customers to keep them coming. So quickly, we'll be diving straight to our panel session. There was a questionnaire sent out, so we have some questions that we're going to give the speakers, and then we'll have some other panelists join us upstage for the questions. So I want us to still sit back as we want to, when we get to that session, if you do not want to speak up, you can just give the usher a note with the question you'd like to ask. So quickly, we would be moving to the panel session, and Busayomi will be introducing the other panelists. Let's put a hand for her.
Thank you, and well done. Wow. I've learned quite a lot. I'm almost thinking, should I start a jewelry business? Should I become a career woman? I'm not even sure. I think I'll just take some time to pray. All right, so like she said, we're moving to our panelist session. Mrs. Olawumi Olatunji, and she's an energy and infrastructure professional with 15 years of professional experience covering banking and finance, petroleum economics, and asset management. She's the CEO of Brookville Ashri Company. That's a lot. Please, can you put your hands together for her? I mean, this profile is pretty impressive. All right, based on her experience in Guaranty Trust Bank, First Bank Nigeria PLC, and Deconek Nigeria. I hope I got that correctly. She has led financial and several millions of dollars. Olawumi is also a UNIDO and climate and energy at the Chartered Global Investment Analytic Network, CGIA, and certified financial modeling and value. I think she's this thing. So put your hands together for her. Lastly, but not the least in any way, Olawumi sits on the board of Solve Education and EduTech startup based in Nigeria and Singapore. Please, can you put your hands together for her? Please, can we have her upstage? Please, a very warm round of applause. Pretty impressive profile you have here to me, but I won't be biased, yeah? So her name is Fadekemi, and she holds a BSc degree in economics from the University of Lagos and a master's degree in finance from the University of Leicester, UK. She's an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. Fadekemi has 15 years worth of experience in investment management division of the multinational asset management firm, managing multi-currency funds from high network individuals, institutional clients, and collective investment schemes. Please, can you put your hands together for the one and only Fadekemi? A very warm round of applause. A very warm one, pretty warm one. All right.
Okay, so our remaining panelists, we've already met them. So we'll just bring them back off stage. Mr. Bosede and Olashubomi, please. Ladies, we can do better than that. Please.
Much better.
Let's
Somebody's
encourage.
going to be clapping for you at some point, applauding you for the many things that you are doing. So let's put our hands together for them. Let's applaud them. They are doing pretty well. Pretty well. Yeah. Sit down. Yeah. Right. You know when the Bible says, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witness, this is the cloud of witness. All right. So a number of persons sent in their questions, right? And we want you to help us address them. I hope we have our notepads, our phones to write and glean as much wisdom as we can from them. All right, so our first question is, how do I grow my wealth? Elisha, yes. How do I grow my wealth as an entrepreneur with no salary?
Okay. Thank you very much for directing that question to me. I can say for sure that I'm the right person to answer that question, because I can say that I started with pretty nothing. But what was important while I was talking earlier is the relationship that I mentioned. Relationship with people will help you grow to wherever you want to grow to. One of the things I can say is, okay, you don't have a salary. Somebody once came to me once and said, I want to learn jewelry making. When I used to take some classes, I used to teach. And this class you want to take is 200,000. I said, how much do you have? She said she doesn't have anything. I said, there's no way you won't have anything. Let me explain to you why I said so. I said, you need to get something, then you come back. When I go to people and I say, oh, this is what I want to do, no matter how small whatever you're doing, people are watching. People can see you. They can see that you're diligent in whatever little thing you're doing. They know they can trust you. If you're someone that you don't have, said, I beg, I need money. I don't get enough money for her. Know my house. The relationships you have built is what will help you grow, no matter what I've been able to.
9 to 5. So can we hear from Madam Fadekemi? Okay. As an entrepreneur, how do I build wealth? I'm
not a business person, I'm an investment manager. So I help people grow their assets. So it's also proper that I answer this question as well. but there's a bit of us you should be able to keep a proper book, put a proper structure. So you should know that I bought this item for 10 naira, cost of selling is 1 naira. I was eventually selling at 13 naira, so I have 2 naira. Out of that 2 naira, okay, I'll pay myself 50 kobo. From that 50 kobo, I will save 20 kobo. And you make that consistent over time. So there are avenues for you to save things over time. And remember, through that savings, you eventually be able to gather a box on. I'm not sure you can be a good entrepreneur if you are not disciplined, if you do not put a proper structure in place. You should keep your books. And you really don't have to be an accountant to do that. The malams will do it to say that, look, I bought it at 10 naira, I'm selling it at 2 naira. Look, this is the cost of my shop. I will contribute 1 naira to add to the cost of my shop. Then I will save this much. I think that's really it. Consistency, discipline, about putting small bits per time. And they always say that you should pay yourself salary. I don't know how that works since I don't do business, but I know that there should be a way of you taking a little bit. And even the supposed unlearned moms that will run their small shops will have the way of doing it by doing their ajo, where they will get some control. That's discipline. And all that. But whatever you have to ensure that discipline is done, you have to put things in place. Thank you.
Please, can we applaud her for that response? Discipline, structure, and like Madam Elisha also rightly said, you have to leverage on your relationships, network, you have to prioritize them. All right, so the next question.
Okay, I think Fadikemi already sort of touched on our next question. So our next question is, I'd need you to probably touch on that. Like you've already given a build up, so help us address the question and then you can also add to that. Thank you.
So I don't know any entrepreneur that has a regular salary. But it is important for you to keep your books. I think that can't be over here. So let's even keep saying make today to eat. That means you don't need a consultant to have that done for you. And I think
Bit to what you said. Not like if you mean that office salary or something. Things that have helped me grow is because for me, I don't see the need for a lot of things. For instance, I'm not, people used to see me and say, she likes to party and all that, but I knew what I was about. No matter what, I can repeat the same dress to any party. Nobody feel like, and that's because I'd gone to earning salary. To grow that business, you have to know that there's some disciplines in terms of your spending that you don't do when other people are doing. You have to cut your coats to the barest minimum. In fact, to this stage, there are some things that I buy that I know that if I cannot buy it maybe times 5, it's going to look at me because those machines are the ones that are building. It might not be machines for you. It might be training. It might be any investment it is what is your paramount, because that is what is going to multiply your income.
Question that we have from the questionnaire that was submitted. Please just give me a second. Okay, so the next question is, can I access loans to grow my business in giving big loans to big companies?
Thank you very much. No, I can't go to a big commercial bank to assist. That being said, before you go, because they have to look at but commercial bank might not be the only option for you. I mean, when she was saying banks, which may look, too big for you, because at times it may also, it depends on how much. Some fintech companies that do no collateral, even no guarantor that you can go kill the business at the end of the day. So you have to be sure that, okay, let me look at this. If they're charging me 6% per month, for instance, if I have a contract maybe to supply access loan from commercial banks, you just have to be sure that they fit into the schedule.
Okay, so quickly, I want to, there are 2 questions I would want to know.
I would ask people who have businesses to talk about difficult clients. So I'll take it from the angle of difficult colleagues or difficult bosses. Like I already mentioned, we're here to work. So, for example, even a difficult boss wants you to do your job or wants the business to move forward. If you can always ensure that the reason why you are there, if you're in a food business, you are polite to your customers, food is ready when it's supposed to be, the tables are clean, it will be hard for your boss to be difficult. Most times, difficulty comes when you are not even doing what you're supposed to be doing. Then other little things start to creep in. Do you understand? Because he's the solution provider doing your job 100 and the job. I know that if you want something done, this is the person. Okay? Second one was what?
Hiring the right
for different people. I don't know if it's still the same. So the right staff is probably not the right. Gone from head of rugged and wear my Timberland boots. I'm there. But you need to know and pace. You will always get it wrong. Freshly out of school to help you. And let's say you're starting off another type of business. Maybe, yes, that's the MBA type person you want. But you can't just say because my friend started and immediately she employed somebody who was somewhere else and then you go get that person. First, you might not even be able to afford the person. The person might be dissatisfied. At different stages of your business, you also need different people. In a startup, for example, you can't go and bring somebody from an overly structured company because they expect that there's a typewriter and when the ink is low, you buy another ink. Some of us have started off in places where when the ink is low, you know that you bring out the cartridge, you will shake it and put it back. Do you understand? So if you are in that stage of a business where everything is now nice and dandy, by all means, go out and hire those type of people. But don't be starting up your business and you need people to take Okada to quickly go and meet a client and they want to order Uber. Your business won't thrive. I hope that has helped. So the question on handling difficult clients.
I know. I had a good laugh when I heard that. Okay, so first of all, who is a difficult client? like she said, what is a difficult client might not be, someone that is a difficult client might not be someone that is a difficult client to me. There's one thing I know that is my strength is relating with people. And no matter, I'm sorry, I have to say this in Yoruba, no matter, let me say it in English, no matter the fire that you carry, some of my friends used to with me for, that's because if we don't have some systems in place, you always get some, you're supposed to pick up something, you did not agree that, you didn't tell the customer in the first place that you will be paying for delivery. Once that happens, you know before delivery is made. Now, difficult customers, in quote, are customers that come to you to tell you again. That's on how to grow your business and how to put systems in place. Makes payment for something. The money is not my own until the customer is satisfied. A customer cannot pay me for something in as much as we have agreements and this is what we're going to do and we finish the job. I'm not spending that money because I can pay you your money back. I always tell myself that no matter how broke I am, if I had 500 naira in my account and the customer pays me another 1 naira, for instance, I still have 500 naira until the deal is closed. Why will I be able to do the refund? When I do refund, when all the agreements we have made has been met, or I didn't meet a part of my own commitment, I'm ready to pay you. And guess what? And I can tell you for free. They just want the service because they came for you for the service or the goods in the first place. Once you are not making trouble with someone that wants to make trouble, and you are trying to make everything trouble the person is coming to me, you can't say, so let's assume, see me see trouble, then I'm angry or whatever. That's how you deal with the customer because
Moving to, there's a question here. How can my business run without me? How do I set up structure so my business can run without me?
All right, very important announcement. Somebody, you're ready to give out your card to someone. So kindly check your purse, and if it's not you...
So how to go for it?
All right, thank you. So that's an area that I actually enjoy talking about, and really, when you use your wealth, if you don't have a business. So what I usually say is that your business must have a life of its own. That means that your business is not you. Even if you chose to run a sole proprietor, you still have to kind of demarcate and make sure that your finances is totally different from a business finances. So therefore, if I want to buy, a dress or something, I'm not supposed to 1,000 or 30,000. You have to pay something to yourself, like a reward for doing well. That's one thing. So then, I usually say it's very important to be clear on what you want to do, to have a vision. What do you want to achieve? Where are you? Understand what you are trying to do. And then even you yourself, you will not forget tomorrow that this is what we are trying to do. Because if you're like me, I call myself a multi-potentialist. So I can be plagued by this shiny object syndrome. I'm going this way. If I'm not focused, I can just see something else and be like, let me try this. While I can thrive at many things, it's also very important to focus. You need to grow from being CEO, which is Chief Everything Officer, to CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And how do you do that? Is by putting these structures in place so that your business, will be able to grow without you, whether you want to travel for a year or for 6 months on a vacation, right? So how do you do this? Even if you are the only one running the business at that point, you know that there are some certain positions. So if think about it like an organogram, you need marketing, you need finance, you need this. So on your laptop, or even if you don't have a laptop, on a paper, on an envelope, this is a marketing job, put the job description and what the marketer is supposed to do. The finance person, if you have a laptop, put those folders. This is finance department, this is logistics, this is sales, this kind of things. So that as you grow, firstly, you know the next person to hire. I've made enough money now. I want to bring in one new person to this business. I think the person I need is a marketer so that I'll be able to do some more strategic jobs. So I put that. After a while, I'm like, okay, I think I need somebody to be doing delivery. I need customer service. You start, breaking it down. But even when you were doing it already, you've already and what that means for me is that you need to think about this and you've had more damage to your business. So when you think about having that kind of contingency plan in terms of if somebody wants to leave, who will take this job? If a supplier that maybe I'm supplying agri product or I'm supplying cashew, and this supplier says, I'm now supplying to maybe a big FMCG, so I can't supply to you again.
where else will I get my produce from? So you need to have those plans so that if you are not there and those kind of mistakes and those kind of problems happen, the people that are handling the business, they know exactly what to do. They don't have to be calling you and telling you to run down back to the business to sort things out. So I think that's the perspective I'll take.
Please, can we give her a round of applause? So we now know their chief everything officers and their chief executive officers. We want to check yourself to be sure which one you are. Okay, so I'd like for her to also answer the question. Being an HR personnel, how do you hire the right set of staffs? Yes.
Okay, I think I differ in a lot of my colleagues in hiring. Whilst I have all the nice PowerPoints and questions that I ask, I try to be as intuitive as possible. Because sometimes people come to your desk without the requisite experience, but you can see drive. And every day I would pick someone who has a teachable spirit over someone that has the experience right now. Because when someone is teachable, as your business grows, they can grow into your future. Some people only know what they know right now. It's not a bad thing, depending on the stage of your business. But so typically, as a HR person, first, there's a job description for which I'm trying to recruit. Does this person fit in now or in the future? Can this person grow? Can this person learn? What else has this person done? So some of you might ask yourself, okay, I don't have the experience now. Just sidetracking a little. Check out job descriptions for your future role. What is the reoccurring phenomenon, and how can you quickly learn it and get there? So for me as a HR person, basically, I try to follow whatever it is I'm trying to recruit for based on the job description, and then I check for attitude. If you have the right attitude, I think you can learn and grow, and you usually have the job.
Okay, please can we give her a round of applause? I have a question though. So how do you mitigate against, from what you said, you choose somebody who has drive over someone who, in quote, has experience. How do you mitigate against people like that not bringing down your company standard? Do you understand the question?
Yes. So for most organizations, especially if you're inheriting the organization, a UAC has been there several years, so you meet people already with experience. But if I'm going to go with someone like Ms. Elesho, who is starting up her business, there's a place for people who are already experienced. When she's starting up, may not be the time to have an entry-level person, because you need someone to guide other people who will come in. So bringing in people who do not have the experience means you will spend a lot of time training them. So depending on the stage of the business, remember I said, so depending on the stage, you have to have a healthy mix of people who are learning and people who already know what to do. I'm an Arsenal fan, and there was a time when it just seemed like Arsenal was a training club. We had a fantastic training school, and people just wait for us to train people and then buy them. Do you understand? But that ensures that you always have a pipeline of people. We're on the table right now at top of the league, but that comes from years of training people. So if all you have on your team are people who have reached the peak of their career, it might be a problem for you, which means in the near future, you have nobody, because these people will grow up and want to retire or do their own things. And I think for people who have other types of businesses, these days, people don't want to learn for too long. They feel they know it and want to go and start their own. So if you don't have people you are learning and grooming, it might become a challenge for you. So specifically to your question, you have to have a healthy balance so everybody can be entry level, else you will leave the meat of the business and be training. So a few people who already know what to do and a few people who are learning and can grow and be fantastic.
Fantastic. Please a round of applause for her. All right, the next question.
Okay, so this is the last question on the entrepreneur side. How do I start exporting my goods? With all the brouhaha in Nigeria, exchange rate issue, as an entrepreneur, what are the opportunities? How do I get my markets outside Nigeria? I feel like, this Mankara business is I feel like it's be more lucrative maybe in the UK. Now we have a lot of people who have jackpot. How do I, provide services to my Nigerian brothers and sisters outside the country? So how do I expand my business? How do I grow it, and begin exportation?
Okay, I would just say a few points that I have in mind concerning that, even though I'm not 100% the best person to answer that question. And the reason is because my own field of what I do I've not finished service Nigeria. As in, I'm still already choked up. So I'm not looking to, in the nearest future, I am, because dollar is more lucrative to earn dollars. But, but what I can say is, first of all, from my experience with other businesses and friends that I've had that export things, one of the major issues that we have in Nigeria is the quality of what we export. One of the things that you need to ask, you need to check inward first before you go out. Make sure that what you have inward is standardized. You can't do rubbish and say you want to export. You can't have, even to the dot, to your packaging, you have to make sure that it's competitive. Whatever you're doing. So sometimes some of my workers will say, Ma, I said, I don't want to hear that just, because it's what you do that you get used to. That if you say you make wedding rings, that is this. Oh, we didn't do this, we forgot. Okay, something like yesterday, a customer sent in a ring that we made for her some years ago. It was tight for her. We needed to expand it. After we finished expanding it, she was supposed to pick it today, and something happened to the laptop. They were trying to sort out something, and they called me. I said, oh, I'll be right there. I was somewhere. So I had to call the customer to say, see, we have finished your ring, but we need to engrave in it, because it's a 10-carat gold. We need to engrave a 10-carat gold. Something happened to the machine, and they need me. So you won't be able to get it today. I explained to her that, no, just send it like that. I need to use it tomorrow. Sometimes I said, no, I'm sorry, we can't send it like that. You need to use it tomorrow. Let's see how we'll work it out. First thing tomorrow morning, you'll get it. So I spoke with my workers and explained to them that they will get it tomorrow. I need to do this, put things in place. Why is that? Once you carry that ring and take it abroad, for instance, when you get there, they'll say, where is the stamp? And then you're sure that, I know it's 18. What happened that day is, see, it's going to spoil my name, not the customer. The customer will not say, I was the one that said I can take it like that. No, you're not going to take it like that and spoil my name. So that is one. If you want to export, first check within. Secondly, always learn, and keep learning. You want to export, Google it. Ask friends. Ask people that are in the business. Find out how they are doing it. Find out people that are already doing it. Trust me, people are more accessible than you think. Go and meet people and say, please, I know you do this. There's something called healthy competition. You're not trying to compete based on, I want to do what you're doing. There are people that are doing things. Okay, someone that is exporting shoe will not have issues with you, someone that is exporting clothes. Do partnerships with them and ask them how they are going about it. But guess what? They will not want to partner with you if you don't have quality service and quality everything. So look within, find people that can help you, collaborate with people, ask questions, and build like a team that can support you. Remember, you can't do it alone. Thank you.
A round of applause for her for that. So you can go ahead with the next questions.
All right, so this question is a bit more direct, very specific. It says, what are the requirements to access covenant capital? Loans, I think that's what the verse meant, right? What are the requirements to access covenant capital loans?
I think we should wait for later. Okay. I think we should wait for later during the course of the program. It'll be a full pack session on how you can access everything Covenant Capital has to offer beyond the loans. So let's just wait.
I think that's fair enough. So next question, Ma.
Okay, so how do I grow my wealth as a small salary earner? I think we've touched on this earlier. Okay, so the HR specialist, how can I be promoted regularly at my workplace? How can I be promoted regularly? I don't want to grow old in one level.
Okay, it's a good question, and it's a question we need to ask ourselves often. Again, remember I said don't be comfortable with where you are, because the sky is even your starting point, it's not your limit. So feel free to shatter all ceilings that they are. But how to get promoted regularly is, I think, the PI formula I mentioned: performance, the image, and the exposure. So what does your employer require, and are you meeting it? In that time, find out what you need to do to get to the next level. So let's assume you're an assistant, then you have a direct boss. Do you know what your boss is doing? And if you don't, sometimes in Nigeria, I hear of all sorts of things. My boss is hiding what they're doing. They don't want me to learn. Ask questions and prove to be valuable. Even someone who is hiding their work, if they see that you can enhance their productivity, with time they will let you see what they're doing. So there is no way you can get promoted if you are not adding more value. So it comes back to the fact that find out what your organization needs, be that and more, and you will get promoted as often as possible. In fact, I mentioned in one of our classes in TCN that for the first time, even as a HR person, I have never promoted someone every 6 months. In the last 2 years, I have been promoted every 6 months since I joined. But I can also tell you that in the last 2 years, oh my God, I have worked super hard. Do you understand? Because I keep adding value. And adding value sometimes, it's not even really on the job. I like to plan parties. So every office party, no matter how big, no matter the budget, it comes to me, the Christian in the group. Do you understand? So sometimes you let your beliefs even limit you from being the best you can be. Just explore, learn what is important to your organization. So whilst I'm in HR, when they have marketing problems, I'm in that meeting. When they have finance problems, I'm in that meeting. Remember I said don't stay in your lane. Staying in your lane is one way to limit yourself. You heard Ms. Elisha talk about how she does even other trainings. She's learning photography for her jewelry. Do you understand? She's not just learning photography and staying narrow in her tunnel. So whatever it is you're doing, there is a way you can do more. Learn and expand your horizon. Money follows value. Promotion follows value. Keep delivering value and promotion will always chase after you.
Amazing. We have to be people of value. I know that Pastor... Sorry? Okay. I thought you wanted to say something. So we have to be people of value to stay relevant in our careers. And, going from what you have said, when you said that you need to understand your organization, what is important to them, that way you can give value and then you can get promoted. I think it will also help us answer this question of becoming visible and staying relevant in your organization. So can you also assist, shed more light on that? Aside, that aspect of exploring and knowing what is important to them, what else can somebody do to be visible? Some of us work, but, we work in our corners. Let me just do my work. I don't want to attract any attention. Let me do my work, close and go to my house and all of that. So when you answer that, she would also give.
I want her to go first because she has transited from being an employee to an employer.
Oh, okay,
so
great.
As an employee, how were you visible before I give my...
Okay, thank you. So becoming visible, I think many times, a lot of us women, we don't blow our own trumpet. Like you work and you're like, they would see it. Nobody will see your work if you don't let people know your work. And I'll give an example. When I first left banking, I used to earn, let's just I used to earn let's just assume it was 400,000. And I moved to a company. And I went to do my master's in petroleum geoscience, and I moved to a company. But because I was so eager to just get into the oil industry, I didn't really care about money. I don't know. I didn't care about how much I was being paid. So I got a downsize of salary, like a quarter. And I was like, whatever, I'm following my passion. And that was good. And I was doing the job. But after a while, I found out that my colleagues, everybody around me, we have the same masters, and they were earning 300. That was really devastating. And why? That was because I didn't push out my value. When they said this is the salary, I'm like, okay. I never, negotiated. I never asked for more. And it was really very devastating. And I didn't even want to blame the organization because I'm like, hey, it's your fault. You didn't speak out. You didn't ask for anything. Anyway, long story short, I left the organization. Now they're my clients. I made sure I closed the door well. But the point I'm making now is that you need to speak out. You need to let people see your value. You don't need to assume they will see it or they will pay. Nobody is going to pay you what you are worth. They're going to pay you what you ask for, what you demand, what you ask for. Nobody will pay you what you just believe that, this job, I'm going to get this. Nobody's going to pay you that. So that's why it's very important to speak out and know your worth. Then the second thing, I don't know if it's directly relevant to this question, but it's about making sure you don't stay in your box or in your space. What I mean is that you need to move out, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a career person, you need to network. And I learned this to say that while I was in banking, I was a marketer. I didn't like it. Like, it was the worst kind of job you could do, but I still did it for like 6 or more years. I kept on doing it. But what I realized was that the successes that I had had to only do with the people that were my friends, that were my network. Maybe somebody introduced me to somebody, a referral. My mom told me, meet this senator, or my former client said, meet this MD of this. These are the successes that I could say were real successes when I said I brought in money to the bank. But beyond network, there was really nothing. So if you just want to go on a door and say, I'm selling this, most people will probably just slam the door on your face. But your network is what will work for you. So the same applies to your career. If you want to grow, are you just sitting in your space and saying, and they will see what I'm doing? Nobody will see what you're doing. You need to be visible, go out there. And it's not about doing eye service. I think someone had mentioned it earlier on. It's just about just coming out of your shell. And I call myself an extroverted introvert. So naturally, now me can sit down. You put water in my cup, you meet me there. I'll just be watching my K-drama and that's it. But I know that I have to come out. I have to be at this kind of gatherings. I have to, in fact, there was a time I was actively speaking, looking for where to speak. Right now, I'm like, I don't have energy to create slides again. I'm not speaking. But you need to meet people, go out to the side. Whether you're a career person, it's very important why you're a career person, because I have a friend that he has moved, so many organizations, 2 years, 3 years, and he's moving. Now he's a director at, a fund managing company. And he didn't do that by just saying, no, he's, sitting in his own space. He does that by moving out. And a lot of us women, I need to say that, men, they easily hang out, have a drink and all that. Women, we don't, because we have to go and, check the children. We have to pick do school runs and all those kind of things. But there are also avenues that, you have to physically join, like women associations or chamber of this, chamber of that are within your own career space. So it's very important for you to just go out of that comfort zone and improve yourself. And I think that will be able to answer the question.
Amazing.
I think the only thing to add is, actually, there's nothing to add. You just have to come out of your comfort zone. And it's important that people see what you do, but sometimes people need people who can speak out. Jesus didn't creep into, now my Bible lesson fails me, when he got the donkey. He didn't creep into the town. He got a brand new donkey and entered the town. People shouting Hosanna. So why do you think you need to creep around in your office and get promoted? No. There are some times that you need to make some noise about what you're doing, the achievements you've done. And again, remember, you have to have done something worth shouting about. Don't shout about nonsense, please. So you need to, first of all, do your work well, and then be that person who showcases. Another easy way is taking on extra. A lot of the promotions I've gotten were not for my core roles. So in one of my organizations, we were trying on a new platform, and everyone was just like, this is just more work. There's no need. It was a marketing project. I, in HR, took it up. And it was my first official trip to South Africa. I had never gone on any official trip. You just hear these things. But it was that volunteering job or role that I took in marketing that gave me that opportunity and eventually led to my promotion. So sometimes, don't stay in your lane. Sidestep. Open your horizon. Check other things that are happening around you. Okay, thank you.
Let's put our hands together for her. So for those of us in careers that want to grow, that we want to quickly scale up, I hope that we are able to apply all of these. How do I remain financially independent as I get close to retirement? Or for those of us that there's some people amongst us that are already retired, how do I stay financially independent? Fadikemi, do you want to go for that? Thank you.
I'll answer this question based on an assumption that in your 20, 25, 30 years of experience, you really put your heart to the work. I'll answer in 2 ways. I'll give you an example of my dad. He retired as an engineer at about 60. Then he passed on a little after that, but that's not the story. The story is that we had to get into his email. My brother had his email address, and I saw him sending his CV out. After he retired, I was wondering that what was the guy, what was he planning to do? Apparently, he had already built in his hometown, built a small office space where he will have his table and chair to either lecture or consult. And he wasn't doing it for the money. He wanted to remain relevant over time. And I think, even though he might not do it for the money, but you see people at that stage making a lot of money. Because we're in an environment where the wealth of experience you have is pretty useful for, say, startups and all of that. And I remember I used to say then that in his office they will hire professors that are retired in lecturing to come and assist them in some engineering thing that they're trying to solve and all of that. So being close to retirement or retiring is not the end of it. Okay, maybe retirement age is 60, is 65, is 70. You see people in close to 80 and they are still very relevant. So in fact, you are very useful for people that are starting up and they will pay you for your experience. So it's very lucrative to be retired. So let's take it like that. So that's one. Now, if you didn't really have a very good career path over time, and I think Abose did mention it around people still going to school and learning new things. It's never late. I don't have a directory, but there's some very senior person in my organization as well, retired at 60, and I understand she enrolled for a doctorate degree. I don't know what she was looking for. But really, maybe she wanted to learn something really new and remain relevant. And I think it's even an antidote for long life. If you continuously want to improve yourself, increase your relevance in your environment. And you remember our parents, that's the point that we even come to church and join prayer groups, whatever. There are a lot of options you have to remain relevant, and relevant that will even be lucrative and pay you money. So retirement is also something, or rather your wealth of experience during the course of retirement is something that you really have in your hand, and an invaluable one at that you can use for the young people to grow. I wish we had a retirement person on this panel, because really you want to also learn from how they grew, how they became successful and all of that. I guess that's the other thing that TCM women will have to look for, to say that, look, a very retired and experienced person, tell us about your life working, tell us about your life running a business and how you are moving it forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're already in the final lap. Are there opportunities to go back into professional career as an entrepreneur? Olaume, I'd like you to answer that, please. Are there opportunities to go back into professional career as an entrepreneur? Because right now, I think you...
Okay, thank you. Right, so it's like if you are reading my life as a book. So when I first wanted to leave banking, I was scared. And, I started making all sorts of plans. Maybe I'll start a school. Maybe I'll do this. I did all sorts of things. Walai, I didn't do any of those things. So I decided to leave. I went to do my master's, and I went to the oil industry. That was cool. I left the oil industry. I started my business. But I was like, man, this business thing, no work. So I found a fintech. I joined them. I was like vice president of business development. But I was angry with myself. Like, this thing these people are doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. Do you understand, in my business? So what the heck? They are my friends, like we're colleagues in the bank, and they were like, hey, come now, people we used to work together, you can do this thing. So after a while, I'm like, no, it's not what I want to do. But that's me, right? Everybody, you need to understand your own authentic self. Who are you? What do you want to do? And, let's not be scared of taking leaps. If you take a leap today, if it doesn't work, you will find your way around it. God will always be by yourself. Like she said, learn to know when learn to know when to call back to God and all that. Now, are there opportunities to go back? Definitely there are opportunities. If you want to go back. So if you have tested the waters and you want to go back, you can go back. You just need to understand things would have changed. So say, for instance, you left working because you went to have a baby, you went to have your family, and you're like, okay, the children are grown, I want to go back to work. In fact, there's tech now. The other lady was talking about learning Python, doing SQL. Maybe when you were in school, there was nothing like tech and all those kind of things. So you need to become relevant by upskilling, making sure that you know what is relevant in your field and upskill. So by the time you do that, then you can look at your former network, or in fact, that's why I talked about networks. Don't kill your networks. You have to make sure so you look at your friends, and by the time you speak to people, you'll be able to find your way back. So the point I'm saying is, it is very possible, but you have to decide if that's what you want to do. And really, they'll say we have only one life to live. So if you make a decision and you decide that it's not that way, you go back. Everything will work out for you.
Okay, so following from that, how did you transition? So I'm working in a proper 9-to-5, but I want to transition. I want to start my own business. This 9-to-5 life is not for me. I cannot be waking up too early. Someone come and shout on my head. Come and say, do this. Or I don't want. So how do I... nah, you know how it is now. You just feel like the grass is always greener on the other side. So let me become I'll control my time when I wake up and all of that. So how do I successfully transition from a 9-to-5 person to an entrepreneur, to owning my own business?
Well, I think I'll just talk about my own experience. Like I said earlier, I had some plans. I was going to do X, Y. If I went to a school, I did understudy for 3 months. When I got there, I was like, hi. So you mean it to take like 10 years before you make your money back? This small money that I have, I'm not doing school again. I tried another thing. But for my transitioning finally happened, I think it was design. Because then in the oil industry around 2013, there was like this oil crisis. So our boss couldn't pay us full salary again. And he had to pay us 50%. So he gave us 2 weeks off and 50% pay. And then I started toying with entrepreneurship. I was like, okay, let me try consulting. I did this, I did that. And I was like, oh, this is working. So when he called us, I think about maybe 6 months later, he called us back to, resume fully. I told him, Oga, I can't come back again. I think this what I'm doing is beginning to make sense. So I was given an opportunity to test, the waters because of the partial work. But not everybody will have that opportunity. So I think you need to have some kind of plan. So I said I wanted to do some things, it didn't work out. If that was what I did, maybe it would have worked out if I kept on doing it, right? But you have to have clarity of what you want to do. Very clear plan. I want to start a business that does jewelry, or I want to start exporting. And so you have to understand. So on exporting, there is a NEXIM, Nigerian Export-Import Bank. They have an export academy that anybody can go to, and I think it's free. So you can go to learn about exporting there. So if you want to that. But the point is that you need to get the right skills, right, for even business. Because as you go to school for getting a job, there are skills you need to learn for starting a business, growing the business. Starting is a different story from growing and from scaling it. So you need to get the right kind of skills. Then money, right? Do you have enough saved? Do you have family and friends? Do you have like a rich uncle or a rich auntie that's going to dash you money? Because most likely when you go to, in fact, it's not most likely. If you go to a bank with idea, nobody will give you money, right? You have to start with what you have. And also, you should start small. Right? You don't have to have everything figured out, because as you go, you keep figuring it out. That's one mistake a lot of girls make. You want to be sure that it's perfect, not lie. Because as you are going there, you keep learning and improving and getting better. So you have to just start with what you have. Some people are able to start even with their 9-to-5 babies based on their schedule. They're able to start their business on the side. But just very important for you to be a faithful steward to your employer, because you cannot take your employer's time for your own business. So you have to find your own time to do it. Then another thing is also to make sure you partner with people. We don't have to do everything alone. I used to say that a small amount, like if I have 100% of 1 million, is not as good as having just 10% of 100 million. Do you understand? So a small percentage of something big is better than a big percentage of something very tiny. So if you work with people, partners, start a company together with your friends or with your... In fact, I saw a set of siblings. There are 5 girls. And they started a school together in Ibadan, and it's thriving. Each one has his own job. Marketer or accountant. Each of them have their different. So look for people that you can do things together instead of putting all the stress on yourself. So I think those are my thoughts on that.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. Because now when you were talking about that, you had a 2 weeks on and off, so it helped you to transition. So for people that do not have that opportunity, what would be your advice to them? Like you have to be full-time 9-to-5, but you have a side also when you really want to transition, you want to leave it. How do you workshop it before you finally... Okay.
I want to answer it not because I'm an entrepreneur, but because I watch people do it. I'm working in a firm that, strangely, by a financial institution, but they encourage people to do their stuff. So I will give you an example of one colleague. So he will volunteer to anchor events. He will anchor the biggest events in the bank where all subsidiaries will be represented and all of that. The guy is resigned, and that's what he does full time. So really, he was doing his work, and he was using his skill where he thought eventually that's where he will end up in, to service for free. It was pro bono. And now, his first set of clients, every member of that organization, because then even before he left, every weekend, someone from his office or referral from his office will call him to host events, he anchored a lot of our colleagues' weddings and all of that. So really, you think you do not have time as a 9 to 5, but I remember that much earlier. There was one particular lady. She would sell vegetable oil. Somebody would sell dab, and our customers were in the office and all that. I know one particular lady. She started selling jewelry. But then in the office, then anytime we went to have party or anything, she'd be the one that would go to. I was on Marina at the time. She just entered Lagos Island. She had settled everybody. If you want to take Ashwebi, it's Jumoke that will send then. She just entered Lagos and settled everybody. But when she was even leaving, our first set of clients in 2007, she was saying that no, my average sales was about $1 million at the time. She started small with her handbag and jewelry in there. So really, yeah, there is time. There is really time for you to actually test your what you think you're passionate about in your immediate, and it will even if it's something you're passionate about, it will show why you are working. I used to have a colleague that anything about before we call the IT personnel, he just go and meet the lady, and she first of all check your system, ensure she's working and all of that before you now think of calling an IT person, because that's a skill that she couldn't hide it under a bushel because it was all showing. So if she was going to vary into that kind of line of business, it would have been easy. It's easier for her to really transition. I want to give a last example of my cousin. She said that the reason I came to Unilag to have a DLI is to get my clients. She was into cakes. So from our 5-year program in Unilag, they said at least you get customers that you bake their children's cakes, bake their wedding cakes. By the time she was done with her 5-year program, she was set. So really, you have all the time in your hands to have everything, wherever you are currently engaged in. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Father Kemi. So our last question as we wrap up this, I know that we've touched on it. Many of the speakers, we've already touched on it. But I'd like a little bit of advice from everyone as closing. I want to go into business. I do not know how to go about it. I have these plenty ideas in my head. I have this, I want to sell this, I want to buy that, I want to import this, I want to export. But how do I start? I know that person had said earlier, just start now. Like, and you also said something, start it now. Everybody's just saying start now. But we want the theory, like, it's all in theory. How do I start now? So everybody will take from.
Okay, since I don't run a business yet, I think my advice going from the career world is still start now, fail fast and fail forward. What that means is if you don't start, you never know what you're good at. The hope and prayer is that you figure it out soon enough, but if you don't start, you would never know. I know there was a time in Covenant where we had Saturday services. I used to attend, then we stopped. Then we've tried many things we were Covenant Capital, we were Covenant, what's it called? Now, but we're at TCN, we're at the Covenant Nation. That shows you that even our pastor is not slowing down. He's failing fast and failing forward and learning and growing. So if you don't start, you never know, just start. So you may have 3, 4, 5 ideas. Try and narrow it down based on your personality, based on the economy, based on different things, but start. Then as soon as you start, be quick to recognize when it's not working and move on. Obviously, you have to be praying so that you're not just jumping from one thing to the other. Pray and search yourself and let God lead you, but start. You cannot stay in the boat.
Okay, so for me, I think your first business should be based on passion. Some people say passion is not enough, but the first thing you test, and the reason I say that is that when it's not working out, that's what will make you stay. My passion has always been to help businesses. That's why I'm a member of Covenant Capital. That is why I'm in consulting. But when I started, I didn't even understand what I was offering. I didn't understand how to get paid. But over time, I tweaked what I was doing because I still wanted to do the same thing, but I was able to find out how to do it, right? I was consulting for a particular sector, but I decided that, okay, if I consult in energy, I'm a geologist, I have the backgrounds. I'm still helping businesses the same way I would have helped someone selling sweets. But in the energy sector can pay me what I believe, right? So what I would have earned, I don't know, maybe 20,000 for, I might earn 2 million for it now. But because I'm still based on passion. Now, after that, your second business can now be, I'm chasing after anything, you can do export. But if you like something, you will keep at it when it was, because I would have shut down when I wasn't getting the kind of remuneration I believed I deserved. So that's I think that's what I would say.
I think for me, it's about to hone your skill. And I think Abosede mentioned it a lot about learning. I'm not sure, I think we're not very good with reading and attending, paying for trainings. And I like Alicia's example, because for her, you could have said that, okay, after I'm servicing Nigerian clients, why do I have to learn what they do in Russia? But the point is that you are pursuing excellence and you want an international standard, even though you know that most of your clients are local clients. So I think for me, what is primary is that if there's something, you apparently can't chase a lot of things. You have to chase very few things, just corroborating allow me. Those things you want to chase, 2 years, 3 years down the line, learn about it. And I understand the lady around learning even IT skills, even as the first degree in statistics on its own is a very good course. But you think that if I learn this IT thing, and it makes it really fantastic. And I've had a colleague that she read a first degree in statistics, she has a master's in that statistics, she can vie into anything. So for me, I think it's about learning. And there's no way people will not pay for skill so that, do you think there are no other people that make juries? How come for the same jury, they will pay Alessio 1 million naira and they will pay the other person 50,000 naira? I think it's about the skill, and it can be the engraving that will make it, that she must have learned somewhere that something that adds value to your work, that will probably make that value come. But I think we should not underrate learning, and it's very easy now to learn. Girls go online. Some you have to pay little for, but like someone said, YouTube can teach you what you might not be able to learn in a 4-year stay in university. So I think you have to just get the right attitude to learning around what you are passionate about. Thank you.
Okay, I think from the question, I kind of get this, I kind of got the question from the angle of someone not being sure of what exactly they want to do, and they have so many things in their head. Let me briefly say that I finished from University of Lagos, BSc Economics. Before I got into Unilag, I was doing ICANN. I was first of all in WISE, then I moved to PI because it was closer to Unilag. And then while I was doing that, in my final year, I was working at apprentice. That's what I was looking for. I was working as an apprentice at the Goldsmith shop in Yaba. And then there was one day, why was I studying accounting? And that's why I was smiling when they were talking. I was studying accounting because I love mathematics. Economics, because I love mathematics and I loved accounting. And I told myself that why should I do ICANN and go and study accounting when I can study economics and study accounting? It will help me open up. And then because I love selling stuff, I used to go for my classes late because I would go to Lagos Island to buy stuff and go and resell for ICANN. And then one day, somebody asked me and said, what are you really doing? What are you about? They are selling this, you are doing that, you are doing ICANN, you are doing that. I was very skinny, really skinny, because I won't sit down in one place. I was always jumping up and down. Now, I used to tell people that when I start working, all the people in my office, I'll be selling jewelry to them. I didn't end up working, not because I was too proud to, but because at the point when I was finishing in Unilag, I already knew what I wanted to do. I streamlined it. One thing I must say, and I always tell people that we're all humans. It's okay to not understand and to be dabbling around. Don't beat up yourself. The people that figured it out and are doing something in particular, that figured out business, started from gambling up and down. Once you're beating up yourself, you don't even know where to start from. Because you're different from somebody else. Like I said earlier, somebody else might be doing 5, 10 things. I've done shoemaking. I've done this. I've done that. If you go to Mushi now, we get somewhere and I'll be greeting everybody. If you go to Lagos Island, I'm greeting everybody. If you go to VI, different offices, I just go and deliver jewelry here, there, and there. I'm greeting everybody. But now, I stay in my house. When I'm indoors now and I don't go anywhere, it seems as if, is it not you that used to be up and down? People where everybody was somewhere in your state. So first of all, be gentle on yourself. Now, whatever you decide on, you should enjoy it, like you said. I picked jewelry because I'm a fashion person. I picked fashion because I loved fashion. And in as much as I was a BSc holder and I did my ICANN and all that, it just didn't work out that I would sit down in any office to do whatever. It didn't mean that I didn't learn that. So, like I said, enjoy whatever you're enjoying. Once you see me, you know that this person likes to dress up and do this, and I'm like that. So I decided to go in the line of what I enjoy doing so that it doesn't frustrate me, like she said, like she also mentioned. So when I chose that, the practical angle is once you decide that this is what you do, what you want to do, please, whatever you want to do is what you want to do. It's not stupid. It might be stupid to somebody else. Do you think you make money in that? Forget about that. First, try out what you're enjoying. If it's kids that you love and you want to stay with kids, that is something. Nothing is stupid because you can build anything. So that's the first thing. Determining what you really love and then learn to build a business around it. Learning, like she said, is something that I never, even my children, once I see them getting interested in something, my son carries a camera and can operate the camera now. Why? I mean a professional camera. He's 13. And once I saw that he was interested in that, I just said, you know what? There's Domestica. Come and sit down. Don't use your time to be. I gave him one camera and said, sit down, listen, watch it, and then start pressing. Go. Then he goes with it. No matter what age you are, no matter how small you are, how old you are, like they were talking about someone that is, there's someone that I taught before that is 60 right now. She's my student, and she makes jewelry. She came to me that she wanted that as a retirement plan. And that was what she started with. There's nothing you decide at any point in your life that you want to do that you cannot expand or do better in. So once you decide on what you want, go and learn about it. Learn how to structure it as a business, start it up, put it together, and make money from it and grow from there. You will grow along the line, but nothing is stupid. Don't beat up yourself. Keep learning and enjoy it. It's life. Enjoy it. Be happy while you're doing it. If you're not happy while you're doing it, then it's not worth it. That's what I think. Thank you.
Wow. So we give a warm round of applause to our panelists and a standing ovation for them as they go back to their seats. And can we also say a warm thank you? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, just before we head into the next session, we're going to do something very quickly, though. So we're going to pass the mic round to about 4 persons. Just tell us specifically what you picked from each of their 4 sessions. We had 4 panelists. Tell us one thing that you're taking home, going back to implement in your business or in your career. And I'm going to start from this end. Yes, I'm going to start from you, Ma. What's your name? What do you do? Are you an entrepreneur or a career person? Tell us one thing you learned from one of their sessions.
Okay, thank you. My name is Carol Chukwueke, and I sell perfume oils, I sell perf, I sell handmade bags, and I also was selling jewelries before. I learned a lot in these discussions we had. I learned that sometimes when she said clients can be difficult, yes, but at the same time, you have to smile with them, you have to be gentle with them, you have to understand them, and you have to be considerate that, okay, whatever they're angry about, there are reasons for everything and reasons why they are doing that, so you need to understand them. And I also learned you have to be passionate about everything you do. And I love businesses, and I love doing business right from when I was in secondary school. So I think it's a very good thing, and it's a very thing I always love to do. Oh, good.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, it's afternoon. Okay, so I want to thank all of our speakers especially. Thank you so much. I mean, we know what it means. Let's clap now. If we had to, all pay to hear you guys speak, admonish us, tell us stuff about your businesses, your careers and all. I mean, I don't think we would be able to pay you too well, So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, our speakers. Thank you so much. And our panelists. We don't take it for granted. Okay, so very quickly, we actually agreed on 2 hours, 30 minutes. And I think we're drawing close to the end of the session. But for a lot of us, I know that top on our minds would be getting to know about the free business school and the loans we have. I see some sisters nodding already. So we have someone from Covenant Capital. She will help put us through, about what really
the free school is about, and then the loans and all. So I'll call up Sister Fadekemi.
Thank you. I think I just want to talk about covenant capital. I think we must have mentioned covenant capital during the course of our conversation. Covenant capital is an arm of the church, where like a business advisory arm of the church, and we do much more than that. One of the things we offer is free business school. It is the Covenant Capital Business School, where I'm sure a few people will have done like entrepreneurship classes, and is in phases. Currently one of them is ongoing, but we'll share it in the women group. If you are not in the women WhatsApp group, you just meet either Sister Joy, Sister Shaliwa, one of the ushers, the old link you up. So we'll share that details with you. So there is currently an ongoing session that we're trying to register for. We also have business support group as well, where we grant business advisory as well as give loans, the interest-free loan. And Elisha mentioned that, so that's currently ongoing. Prior to tonight, it was a central process of having to have that done, but it will not be done at the hub level. We have the head of Covenant Capital, Yaba, in our midst. He's a guy, that's why he's not here. I'm speaking on his behalf. So we will typically have a loan session where we will have an interview. You will have 2 guarantors. So you will come to, you have a business proposal where you come to present on what you want to use the loan for. It needs to be evaluated and you'll be granted the loan. Then you agree on the payment process, typically monthly or depending on the cash flow of business will be agreed. Some businesses will prefer to pay weekly. So you can have that. So on the details of that as well, we'll share on the Covenant Capital, on the TCN Yaba WhatsApp group. So if you're not there, I think you should ask to join there. I think the other one is that will also might interest us is Cottage. We have also an arm of Covenant Capital that is in charge of training people for small businesses. It's called the Cottage Unit. I think very soon they will be finalizing plan on how to localize those vocational training in the respective hubs, including Yaba. So where we will look for established businesses in our places, in Yaba, for example, and peer trainees with them. Those trainees will be taught for free, and we expect that the trainees will take those sessions seriously. After that, they can just run with it. It can either be a basic training, depending on what the client wants to offer, or advanced training. So we've had people go to training like tailoring. I think I remember the last session where somebody offered to train at least 1 or 2 people for a 6-month tailoring or fashion designing school. So we have that as well. So they're quite a number of that. You can also follow Covenant Capital on their respective social media channels, and you'll be able to see a lot of that. I think we also hold master classes regularly, but those will be announced typically, but it's not something that come all the time. Like, for example, tomorrow we will have like a marketplace session where entrepreneurs will display their ware, and we'll get people to patronize that are church people, and that will be held quarterly. And also to add that even this business and career meeting for the Yaba women will be held quarterly as well. I think I've touched almost everything. So for loans, just look out for the announcement when the session will be open, and we will have an interview session. For the school, it's currently ongoing, and to be forwarded to the CCN Yaba Women WhatsApp group. I think that's all. All right.
Okay, so thank you. So just like she said, if there are more information we need, and then it's very important that as Yaba women, I'm just saying this because of those of us who are in Yaba, because I have met a couple of women here already today, like 2 or 3, and I'm like, are you on the WhatsApp group? They're like, we're not in the WhatsApp group. So, it's very important that it's like a community for us. We come to church, yes, we listen to pastor, he preaches, we have several groups we belong to, but then that's like our home, The WhatsApp group is like our home where we can rub minds together, talk about things that affect us as women, organize programs, that would really benefit us as women and all of that. So if you're not in the WhatsApp group, it's very important that, be on the WhatsApp group. And, okay, and we understand that, this meeting as it concerns the business aspect, also has to do with helping women who have ideas, who haven't, fine-tuned their ideas or thought about, okay, hitting the ground running with their ideas. So if peradventure there's anyone here, based on what you have heard from Elesho, and you think, I have a knack for, jewelry, and I think jewelry making might be my thing, perhaps you also want to walk up to her and ask her what it would entail, But of course, it might entail money, I mean, you're getting what she has said for free. Don't expect her to train you for free. So if you think you have a knack for jewelry making or fashion, you may want to walk up to her and tell her, okay, how do I go about this? And perhaps if you're a business person and you think, okay, I am stuck in one or two areas and I need to consult someone, our sister here is here. And maybe perhaps you need other things you really need to structure. And you think, okay, Sister Fadekemi might also help me, or Sister Laumi, can help me. Feel free to go to them after this event to ask things you want to know, clarify, that may have not been said on this stage today, and, get things right. So, I think on that note, I'll call Shaliwa to come take the closing prayer. We've been here for over 2 hours, and it's been a wonderful time. If you ask me, I don't know about you. Have we garnered a lot? Yeah. So, you know how it's like, you don't have to pocket all what you have heard. If you don't use them, it's gone. You have got to implement. All what you heard is not to be pocketed. People have been taking notes, Go back, revisit your notes. This event will be a quarterly thing. So it would mean that every quarter we'll come back again together to compare notes. This is where I was at the beginning of the year when they had a March edition. This is where I am now, 4 months later. I couldn't start my business in March. Now, 4 months later, I have started my business. It's a good thing, right? That's the essence of events like this. So we'll come back after a quarter to compare notes to see how well we have done, how well we have, structured, our lives in terms of business, careers, and all of that. Thank you so much for coming. God bless you. And thank you. Please, let's stand up and thank all the speakers. Let's give them a standing ovation. Say thank you. We love you.
And lastly, please, let's give a standing ovation to ourselves. Please, let's clap for ourselves. Thank you. In Jesus' name. Heavenly Father, we bless your name. We thank you for today. We thank you for the knowledge impacted. We thank you for the wisdom. Father, Lord, as we go to our different destinations, Father, Lord, you guide us safely, Lord, in Jesus' name. Father, we thank you that from today's meeting, Lord, in the name of Jesus, people already have what they need to start their business in the name of Jesus. For those that need structure, Father, Lord, you give them a specific person they can meet, or people and ideas to go to the next level, Lord, in Jesus' name. Thank you, Father, for you alone deserve the praise, the glory, and the honor. For in Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen. God bless us all.
Sorry, there's a free one-on-one just behind there. If you think you need to talk to an expert one-on-one, there'll be two persons actually waiting for you to talk to you out there, either in business or in career. Free one-on-one for the next 30 minutes. So you're getting a free advisory session for free for 30 minutes. If you think you need clarity in any area, please move to the back and experts would reach you. Thank you so much.
He was still right. Every time we shake my hand, oh yeah. Every time we see me dance, oh yeah. You can tell by looking, and I ain't got time to tell you all you really need to know is I'm a living, breathing, walking, talking.